Have you ever felt like your mind is a relentless battlefield, a cacophony of echoes from the past and anxieties about the future, leaving you utterly exhausted and longing for a moment of true calm? This was the constant reality for a young man named Marco. His days were a blur of what-ifs and if-onlys, his thoughts perpetually adrift, rarely anchored in the here and now. He carried the weight of yesterday's mistakes and the dread of tomorrow's uncertainties, searching desperately for an elusive peace that always seemed just beyond his grasp. Marco's yearning for serenity grew so profound that he decided to seek wisdom beyond his own troubled thoughts. He had heard tales of an old man, a former psychologist named Arthur, who lived quietly on the outskirts of their bustling village. Arthur was renowned not for grand pronouncements, but for his gentle presence and an uncanny ability to guide others toward an inner stillness. With a glimmer of hope, Marco set out, his heart heavy but his spirit resolute, to find this sage of peace. He found Arthur tending a small garden, his face weathered by time but his eyes sparkling with an enduring tranquility. Marco poured out his heart, explaining his restless mind, his endless worries, and his desperate plea for guidance. Arthur listened with profound patience, his gaze unwavering. When Marco finished, the old man simply smiled and disappeared into his humble cottage, returning moments later with a simple ceramic cup filled to the brim with water. "Marco," Arthur said, his voice soft yet firm, "your task is this. Carry this cup to the ancient oak at the village edge and bring it back to me. Do not spill a single drop." Confused but compliant, Marco carefully took the cup. It was surprisingly heavy, the water so full it seemed to shimmer on the verge of overflowing with every minuscule movement. He began his journey, his eyes fixed intently on the water's surface. The village was alive with its usual clamor. Children laughing, merchants hawking their wares, blacksmiths, hammers ringing, and dogs barking. But Marco noticed none of it. His entire world had shrunk to the circumference of that cup. Each step was deliberate, each breath shallow, his focus absolute. He navigated the winding paths, avoided bumping into passers-by, and resisted every urge to look away, until he reached the ancient oak, turned, and made his painstaking return journey. Finally, he stood before Arthur again, the water in the cup still perfectly level, not a single drop lost. A sense of triumph swelled within him. "I did it," he exclaimed, relief flooding his voice. Arthur nodded, his eyes twinkling. "Indeed, you did. Tell me, Marco, what did you see on your journey? Did you notice the baker's new pastries, or the vibrant colors of the market stalls? Did you hear the children's laughter, or the blacksmith's song?" Marco Pau said, a strange realization dawning upon him. "No," he admitted, a slight frown creasing his brow. "I saw nothing but the cup. I heard nothing but the sound of my own careful footsteps. My mind was entirely on not spilling the water." Arthur's smile widened. "And there, my dear Marco, lies the secret to peace. When your mind was completely absorbed in the present task, the simple act of carrying that cup, there was no room for yesterday as regrets or tomorrow as fears. There was no space for confusion, no unnecessary thoughts, no restless anxieties. Your mind, for that precious time, was perfectly at peace." Marco felt a profound shift within him. The truth resonated deep in his soul. Peace wasn't some distant land he had to reach, nor was it a treasure to be found externally. It was already within him, within each person, accessible the moment one chose to live fully in the present, with a heart lighter than it had ever been. Marco thanked Arthur profusely. He returned home not as the same troubled young man, but with a changed soul, armed with a newfound understanding. He began to practice Arthur's lesson, anchoring his mind in the present moment, whether washing dishes, listening to a friend, or simply walking. Slowly but surely, the mental battlefield transformed into a sanctuary, and Marco discovered that the peace he had so desperately sought was always there, waiting patiently for him to simply be.